The sound of glass shattering against the wall made everyone at my mother's 70th birthday party freeze. My sister Ashley's face contorted with rage, her perfectly manicured finger pointing at me like a weapon. "You're lying," she screamed, her voice breaking the stunned silence. "You've always been jealous of me, always trying to turn everyone against me." I remained calm, my hand steady as I reached for my phone. The room seemed to hold its collective breath as I pressed play on the voicemail I'd been saving for this exact moment. My brother-in-law's voice filled the room, crystal clear and unmistakable. "Ashley, baby, I've moved the money like you asked. Your sister won't find out about Mom's account until it's all gone. I love how smart you are, always one step ahead of everyone." The color drained from her face as 20 pairs of eyes turned to stare at her. For 5 years, I'd watched my sister systematically steal from our dying mother while playing the role of devoted daughter. 5 years of gaslighting me whenever I raised concerns. 5 years of being called paranoid, bitter, and mentally unstable by my own family. I hadn't planned to expose her today, but when she stood up to give a tearful speech about her sacrifices for Mom, something inside me finally snapped. The practiced tremble in her voice, the fake tears she'd perfected since childhood. I couldn't take one more second of her performance. Mom sat in her wheelchair, oxygen tank beside her, looking confused as the recording continued to play. I watched the realization slowly dawn in her tired eyes, the same eyes that had always looked at Ashley with blind adoration. "Turn that off," my brother-in-law Mark hissed, lunging toward me. My cousin David stepped between us, his large frame blocking Mark's approach. The voicemail continued, revealing details about falsified care expenses, manipulated medication schedules, and the beach house they'd purchased with my mother's retirement funds. "How could you?" Mom's voice was barely audible, her gaze fixed on Ashley. "I trusted you with everything." Ashley's face transformed, her vulnerability replaced with something cold and calculated. "You don't understand what I've been through," she said, suddenly switching tactics. "Taking care of you while Sarah was off living her life in Chicago. Do you know how many opportunities I've missed? How much I've sacrificed?" I wanted to scream. I'd offered to split caregiving duties equally, to hire professional help, to move back home. Ashley had blocked every suggestion, insisting she could handle everything, that she wanted to care for Mom. Now I understood why. "Sarah, is this true?" Mom asked, her frail hand reaching for mine. The weight of her question hung in the air. For years, she'd dismissed my concerns about Ashley's management of her affairs. Now, confronted with undeniable proof, she looked lost, betrayed by the daughter she'd always favored. "Every word," I said quietly. "And there's more, much more." I placed a folder on the table, bank statements, forged signatures, doctored medical records. 5 years of meticulous documentation, while I waited for Ashley to make a mistake, big enough that even Mom couldn't ignore it. Ashley's husband grabbed her arm. "We're leaving. Now." His lawyer instincts kicking in, recognizing the legal implications of what had just been revealed. "You're not going anywhere," my uncle said, blocking the doorway. "Not until Sarah finishes." He was a retired police officer, and the authority in his voice made Mark step back. "Play the rest," someone called out. I looked at my mother, seeking permission. Her slight nod was all I needed. The second voicemail was worse. Ashley and Mark laughing about manipulating Mom's medication to make her more confused during family visits, ensuring no one would take her concerns seriously. "A few extra pills, and she doesn't even remember what day it is." Ashley's voice echoed through the now silent room. "It's almost too easy. My name is Sarah Mitchell, 48 years old, divorced, no children. Before moving back to Lancaster, Pennsylvania 6 months ago, I spent 20 years building a career as a hospital administrator in Chicago. I'm the practical sister, the responsible one, the one who calls regularly, but doesn't make a show of it on social media, the one who sends thoughtful gifts instead of extravagant ones I can't afford, the plain sister with the sensible haircut and comfortable shoes. At least, that's how my family has always seen me, especially when compared to Ashley. My life in Chicago wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I had a small circle of close friends, a job I excelled at, and a comfortable condo overlooking Lake Michigan. I'd recovered from my divorce, rebuilt my savings, and found a quiet kind of contentment. Then Mom's health began deteriorating rapidly last year. Stage 4 lung cancer, with a prognosis of months, not years. I still remember the phone call from Ashley. "She's asking for you," she'd said, her voice thick with what I now recognize was manufactured emotion. "I don't know how much longer she has." I'd packed up my life within a week, taken an extended leave of absence, and driven back to the town I'd escaped after high school. The town where Ashley had stayed, marrying her high school sweetheart Mark, who'd gone on to become one of the most successful attorneys in Lancaster County. Upon arrival, I found Mom's once immaculate colonial house in disarray. Medical equipment crowded the living room, but dust covered every surface. Bills were piled unopened on the kitchen counter. Mom herself seemed over-medicated, drifting in and out of lucidity. When I questioned Ashley about Mom's care plan or finances, I was met with tearful defensiveness. "You have no idea how hard this has been. You've been gone for 20 years while I've been here, handling everything." I tried to tread carefully. After all, she was right. She had been physically present while I maintained distance. Our mother had always favored Ashley, the beautiful, charming daughter who looked just like her. I was our father's daughter, practical and straightforward like him. After Dad died when we were teenagers, that division became even more pronounced. I rented a small apartment near Mom's house and established a routine. Mornings with Mom, afternoons working remotely, evenings researching her condition and organizing her affairs. Ashley would arrive with dramatic sighs and armfuls of shopping bags, presenting them as essentials for Mom's care. Yet the hospice nurse I hired confided that Ashley rarely stayed longer than it took to snap a few photos for her devoted daughter social media narrative. My first real suspicion came when I discovered Mom's primary care physician had been changed without her knowledge. The new doctor, a golf buddy of Mark's, had prescribed an unusual medication regimen that kept Mom sedated much of the time. When I raised concerns, Ashley accused me of trying to control everything after being absent for years. "Mom wants me making these decisions," Ashley insisted. She told me so herself. Podrer. When I asked Mom directly during a rare lucid moment, she seemed confused. "I thought you were handling those things with your sister," she said vaguely before drifting back to sleep. Lancaster had changed little since I'd left. The same families ran the same businesses. The same gossip circulated at the same coffee shops. Ashley and Mark were local royalty, she with her boutique clothing store catering to the wealthy wives of the area, he with his law practice handling their divorces and real estate transactions. Their Tudor-style mansion hosted the charity galas and holiday parties that kept them at the center of the social scene. Their two perfect children attended the private academy, where tuition exceeded what most locals earned in a year. I, on the other hand, was viewed with the suspicion small towns reserve for those who leave. "Sarah's back from the big city," they'd whisper at the grocery store. Now that her mother's dying, the implication was clear. I'd returned for the inheritance, not out of concern. What no one knew was that I'd been sending money home for years. Anonymous deposits to Mom's account when Ashley complained about unexpected medical expenses. College funds for my niece and nephew that Ashley took credit for establishing. I never corrected the misconceptions. Let Ashley have the spotlight. I just wanted to ensure Mom was cared for properly. 3 months after my return, I hired a private financial investigator. The astronomical fees seemed justified when he uncovered the first irregularities. Large withdrawals from Mom's accounts, a reverse mortgage on her fully paid home, investment accounts drained. When confronted privately, Ashley burst into tears, claiming the money went to experimental treatments, giving Mom her only chance. I almost believed her, until the investigator discovered the beach house in the Outer Banks, purchased 6 months earlier in Mark's parents' names, a transparent attempt to hide the asset. I began recording everything, every conversation, every visit. I installed cameras in Mom's room with the hospice agency's approval, citing safety concerns. I gathered documents, made copies, built my case methodically, all while watching my mother fade away, day by day, believing that her beloved Ashley was her guardian angel. The first knife in my back came 3 weeks after I'd moved back to Lancaster. I'd spent the day organizing Mom's medical records, creating a binder with her history, current medications, and treatment plan, something that should have been done months earlier. When Ashley arrived that evening, I showed her my work, thinking she'd be relieved someone was bringing order to the chaos. "What is this?" Her voice was low, dangerous. She flipped through the pages, her French manicured nails tapping impatiently against the plastic sleeves. "Just getting everything in one place," I explained. "The hospice nurses said it would help them provide better care, and I found some concerning interactions between her medications that "So you're a doctor now?" Her laugh was sharp, cutting. "This is so typical, Sarah. You swoop in after I've been handling everything for years and suddenly you're the expert." She snapped the binder shut. "I've been working with Mom's doctors since day one. We have a system. I'm just trying to help," I said, feeling like I was 16 again, always the one getting it wrong in Ashley's eyes. "If you want to help, there's a pile of laundry that needs doing." She turned away dismissively. "I'm going to sit with Mom." That night, I received a group text from Ashley to our extended family. "Exhausted but blessed to be Mom's caregiver. Please pray for strength as I navigate these difficult waters while managing the store and the children's activities. Sarah is helping with household tasks when she can." The responses flooded in. Praise for Ashley's selflessness, offers of meal deliveries, promises of prayers. Not one message acknowledged my return or contributions. I told myself it didn't matter, that this wasn't about recognition, but the deliberate positioning stung. The real betrayal came the following day when I arrived to find Dr. Reynolds, Mom's new physician, leaving the house. Ashley stood on the porch with him, their heads bent close in conversation. "What's going on?" "I didn't know Mom had an appointment today," I said, climbing the porch steps. Dr. Reynolds straightened, his expression professionally neutral. "Just a routine check-in. Your mother's comfortable, which is our primary goal at this stage." "Sarah," Ashley's voice dripped with artificial sweetness, "Dr. Reynolds and I were just discussing your concerns. He agrees that your anxiety about Mom's care might be affecting her negatively." "My anxiety?" I repeated, confused. "It's common for family members to experience significant stress during end-of-life care," Dr. Reynolds said smoothly, "especially when they haven't been involved in the day-to-day caregiving previously. Ashley mentioned you've been questioning the medication regimen and care plan that's been working well for months." I felt ambushed. I just noticed that the dosage of her pain medication seemed higher than... "We've adjusted her medications as her condition has progressed," he interrupted. "Perfectly standard protocol for late-stage cancer patients." Ashley placed her hand on the doctor's arm. "We so appreciate your patience. Sarah means well, but this is all new to her." I stood there, effectively silenced. The doctor nodded sympathetically at me before leaving, and Ashley disappeared inside. Mission accomplished. She had undermined me with Mom's doctor, painting me as the hysterical, interfering relative who didn't understand palliative care. That evening, as I sat with Mom while she dozed, Ashley entered with Aunt Patricia, our mother's older sister who'd flown in from Arizona. "There she is," Ashley said warmly, hugging Aunt Patricia. "Our rock through all this." Aunt Patricia looked at me with concern. "Sarah, honey, Ashley told me you're having a hard time accepting Mom's condition. It's okay to be upset, but questioning her medical care at this stage isn't helpful." I felt my face flush. "That's not what's happening. I just want to make sure—" "We all want what's best for Evelyn," Aunt Patricia interrupted. "But Ashley has been coordinating with the doctors for months. You need to trust the process." Later, I overheard them in the kitchen. "I'm worried about Sarah," Ashley was saying. "She's been so controlling since she came back, rearranging Mom's medication schedule, questioning the hospice nurses. I think the divorce hit her harder than anyone realized." "Poor thing," Aunt Patricia murmured. Always was the intense one. "I'm trying to be patient," Ashley continued, her voice breaking artfully. "But I'm exhausted, Pat. Running the store, taking care of the kids, being here every day, and now managing Sarah's issues." "You're an angel," Aunt Patricia assured her. "Your mother is lucky to have you." Within days, the family narrative was firmly established. Dedicated Ashley bearing the burden of care, while emotionally unstable, Sarah created additional stress with her unnecessary interventions. My cousins called to gently suggest, I let Ashley handle things as she has been. Mom's church friends gave me sympathetic looks when they visited. The hospice nurses began checking with Ashley before implementing any of my suggestions. I had been effectively isolated, my concerns dismissed before I could even fully articulate them. The systematic way Ashley had turned everyone against me felt calculated, strategic, far from the emotional reaction of an overwhelmed caregiver. For the first time, I wondered if there was something more deliberate behind her behavior, something beyond our lifelong rivalry, or her need to be the favorite daughter. That night, I opened my laptop and began researching financial exploitation of the elderly. What I found sent a chill through me. The warning signs matched our situation with disturbing precision. The next morning, I called a forensic accountant and scheduled a private meeting, careful to use my cell phone out of earshot of the house where Ashley might have allies. I remember the day Dad died. I was 15, Ashley 13. He'd gone in for a routine procedure, gallbladder surgery, and never came home. A rare reaction to the anesthesia, they said. Mom collapsed when they gave her the news, her grief so raw and consuming that I stepped into the void, handling the funeral arrangements, fielding endless casseroles from neighbors, managing the paperwork that follows death. Ashley grieved differently. She crawled into Mom's bed and stayed there, the two of them wrapped in shared sorrow, while I kept our household functioning. I paid bills from Dad's meticulous filing system. I returned phone calls. I made sure Ashley got to school and Mom ate something each day. At 15, I became the family's foundation while they became each other's comfort. "You're so strong, just like your father," people would tell me at the funeral. They meant it as a compliment, but it created an expectation. Sarah doesn't break. Sarah handles things. Sarah doesn't need coddling. Meanwhile, Ashley received gentle hugs, special allowances at school, careful monitoring of her emotional state. The pattern continued through our teen years. Mom and Ashley bonded through shopping trips and tearful late-night talks, while Mom and I connected through practical matters, college applications, car maintenance, retirement planning. I didn't resent it exactly. It simply became our family dynamic. Dad had been my ally, my similar soul. With him gone, I accepted my role as the family's practical caretaker. When I announced my plan to attend college in Chicago, Mom seemed surprised, as if she'd assumed I'd choose somewhere local like Ashley. "It's so far," she said. "What if we need you? You can call any time," I told her. "But this program is perfect for what I want to do." Ashley, 16 and already the queen of her high school, rolled her eyes. "She just wants to get away from us, Mom. Let her go." The distance transformed our relationships. Without daily interaction, Mom and I developed a more adult connection. Weekly phone calls replaced tense dinners. I could share my accomplishments without Ashley's subtle undermining. When I married Thomas at 28, Mom flew to Chicago alone. Ashley was pregnant with her first child and claimed travel was too risky, though she'd vacationed in Mexico the previous month. Mom stayed a week, the longest we'd been together since I'd left for college. We explored the city, laughed over wine in my small apartment, talked about Dad. One night, she confessed something that stunned me. "I've always worried that I leaned on you too much after your father died," she said quietly. "You were so young to bear so much responsibility. I wanted to help," I assured her. "You were grieving. So were you," she replied, taking my hand. "But you never really showed it. I think I took advantage of your strength." The acknowledgement meant everything to me. For the first time, I felt truly seen by my mother. Thomas and I hosted Thanksgiving that year. Ashley and Mark came with their infant son, Jason. The tension between Ashley and me eased somewhat as we both embraced our adult lives. She seemed genuinely happy for my career success, and I admired her confidence as a new mother. For a few golden years, our family found balance. Mom visited Chicago regularly. I returned to Lancaster for holidays and summer vacations. Ashley and I maintained a cordial relationship, our childhood competition fading as we built separate lives. Then the financial crisis of 2008 hit. Mark's investments suffered heavy losses. Ashley's boutique struggled as luxury spending plummeted. Meanwhile, Thomas and I had been careful with our finances, following Dad's conservative approach to money. When Ashley called asking for a loan to prevent foreclosure on their home, I agreed immediately, sending $50,000 from our savings. "It's just until the market recovers," she promised. "Mark says it won't be more than a year." The loan was never repaid. When I gently brought it up during a Christmas visit 2 years later, Ashley exploded. "Of course," she hissed. "Heaven forbid you don't remind everyone that you're the successful one, the responsible one. Do you know what we've been through? Do you have any idea what it's like to raise children during a recession while trying to save a business?" Mom intervened, soothing Ashley while giving me a look that clearly said, "Let it go." So I did. I wrote off the money as a gift and never mentioned it again. When Thomas announced he wanted a divorce after 15 years of marriage, I was blindsided. He'd fallen in love with a colleague, he explained. They hadn't been physical yet, but the emotional connection was undeniable. He wanted to end our marriage with honesty and respect. I called Mom first, needing her steadiness. Instead, I got Ashley, who had been visiting. "Oh my God, Sarah, I'm so sorry," she gasped when I explained through tears. "Wait, let me put you on speaker so Mom can hear too." Before I could object, my private pain became shared family knowledge. Ashley peppered me with questions. Was there someone else? Had there been signs? What would I do financially? While Mom remained uncharacteristically quiet in the background, the divorce process was civil but devastating. I lost not only my husband but also our social circle, which naturally fractured along lines of loyalty. When the settlement was finalized, I took a week off work and flew to Lancaster, seeking the comfort of home. The evening I arrived, I discovered Ashley had organized a divorce party, complete with inappropriate games and a penis-shaped cake. Neighbors I barely knew raised glasses to Sarah's fresh start, while I sat mortified, still raw with grief for my ended marriage. "You need to celebrate," Ashley insisted when I tried to leave early. "Stop being so serious about everything." Later that night, Mom found me crying on the back porch. She sat beside me, her hand warm on my back. "Ashley means well," she said. "She just doesn't understand that not everyone processes things the way she does." "I know," I whispered. "I just needed quiet. Just you and me." Mom nodded, and for a moment, I felt that connection we'd built during her Chicago visit years earlier. "You're going to be okay," she said. "You're the strongest person I know." I returned to Chicago and rebuilt my life piece by piece. Threw myself into work, eventually earning a promotion to hospital administrator. Bought a smaller condo that was truly mine. Developed new friendships and rediscovered old hobbies. When Mom called with updates about Ashley's perfect children or Mark's growing law practice, I listened with genuine interest, having found a contentment that didn't require comparison. The ultimate humiliation came 3 months after I'd moved back to Lancaster. Mom had rallied somewhat since my return, experiencing more lucid days as I carefully monitored her medication schedule. On one such afternoon, I suggested we update her will and advance directives, ensuring her wishes were clearly documented. "That's sensible," Mom agreed, the clarity in her eyes reminiscent of the sharp, organized woman she'd once been. "I know there was something with the old will that bothered me, but I can't quite remember what it was. I arranged for an elder law attorney, not Mark or anyone from his firm, to visit the following day. When I mentioned this plan to Ashley during our daily handoff, her reaction was immediate and visceral. "You did what?" she snapped, color rising in her cheeks. "Without consulting me?" "Mom's aware and agreeable," I explained calmly. "It's just a review of existing documents." "Cancel it," she demanded. "Mark has been handling Mom's legal affairs for years. This is completely inappropriate." "I think it's best to have an independent review," I said, "just to make sure everything reflects Mom's current wishes." Ashley's phone buzzed with a text. She glanced at it, then back at me with narrowed eyes. "We'll discuss this later." That night, I received a call from the attorney apologizing for the cancellation. "I've been informed that your mother already has representation through her son-in-law's firm," he explained awkwardly. "There could be ethical concerns with me reviewing the documents." I immediately suspected Ashley's interference, but had no proof. The next morning, I arrived at Mom's to find a full family gathering in the living room. Ashley and Mark, Aunt Patricia, Uncle Robert, and 2 cousins. Mom sat in her wheelchair, looking confused and heavily sedated. "Sarah," Mark greeted me with professional cordiality. "Please join us. We were just discussing some concerns that have been raised." "What concerns?" I asked, noticing how they'd positioned themselves. Ashley beside Mom, the others forming a loose circle with a conspicuously empty chair facing everyone. An intervention setup if I'd ever seen one. "Please sit," Ashley said softly, her expression a perfect mask of compassion. "We need to talk about what's been happening." I remained standing. "What exactly is happening, Ashley?" Mark stepped forward, attorney mode activated. "Sarah, several family members have noticed concerning behaviors since your return. Rearranging Evelyn's care against medical advice, attempting to change legal documents without proper consent, monitoring the house with unauthorized cameras. The cameras were approved by hospice," I said evenly, "for Mom's safety when neither of us is here. They've also captured private family moments without consent," Ashley interjected. "And you've been recording our conversations, haven't you?" I felt a chill. Someone had found one of my recording devices. "We're worried about you," Aunt Patricia said, her voice gentle with practiced concern. "This level of surveillance suggests an unhealthy state of mind. You've been through a lot, Cousin Melissa added. The divorce, career stress, and now Mom's illness. It's understandable that you might be struggling. They continued, each family member contributing to the narrative. Sarah is unstable. Sarah is paranoid. Sarah is interfering with established care. Sarah is causing her dying mother undue stress. Mom watched the exchange with clouded eyes, occasionally nodding when Ashley squeezed her hand at key moments. I realized with sickening clarity that she'd been deliberately overmedicated for this meeting. "What do you want?" I finally asked, cutting through another round of, "We're just concerned about you" platitudes. Mark cleared his throat. "We think it would be best if you took some time for yourself. Your apartment lease is through next month, yes? Use that time to reset." Ashley has been managing Evelyn's care successfully for years, and the constant changes and monitoring are creating anxiety for everyone, especially your mother. "You're asking me to stay away from my dying mother?" The words hung in the air, their cruelty exposed in plain language. "Just until you're in a better place emotionally," Ashley said quickly. "For Mom's sake." I looked at Mom directly. "Is that what you want, Mom? For me to stay away?" Her eyes flickered with momentary clarity. I don't like all the fighting," she murmured. "It's so exhausting." Ashley immediately jumped in. "See? This is exactly what we're talking about. The stress you're causing is detrimental to her condition." I felt physically ill. Recognizing the masterful manipulation at play, Ashley had orchestrated everything, from ensuring Mom was over-medicated to gathering family members who'd only heard her version of events. The ultimate betrayal wasn't just Ashley's theft or lies. It was this deliberate, calculated effort to separate me from my mother in her final months. "I'd like to speak to Mom alone," I said. "I don't think that's a good idea right now," Mark replied smoothly. Something inside me snapped. "I wasn't asking permission," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "I'd like everyone to leave so I can speak to my mother privately. Now." Ashley stood up, playing her final card. "Mom, are you comfortable being alone with Sarah right now? It's okay to say no." Mom looked confused, her gaze moving between Ashley's concerned face and my rigid posture. The momentary silence was devastating. My own mother, questioning whether she was safe with me. I think I need to rest," she finally said. The room emptied slowly, each family member giving me a sympathetic glance or gentle touch on their way out, the kind reserved for the mentally unstable relative. Ashley remained last, administering Mom's pain medication, before leaving with a warning glance at me. When the door closed, I knelt before Mom's wheelchair, taking her cool hands in mine. "Mom, I need you to hear me. Really hear me. Something very wrong is happening with your care and your money. I'm trying to protect you, but I need you to trust me." Her eyelids drooped as the fresh dose of medication took effect. "Why can't you girls just get along?" she murmured. "Always fighting. Since your father died." "This isn't about getting along," I insisted, desperation rising as I saw her slipping away. "This is about your safety, your future." "So tired," she whispered. "Just want peace." I helped her to bed, tucking the blankets around her thinning frame. As she drifted to sleep, I made a decision. If Ashley wanted war, she'd get one, but on my terms, with my evidence, and with authorities who couldn't be manipulated by her tears or Mark's legal maneuvering. That night, alone in my apartment, I finally allowed myself to break down. 20 years of maintaining composure, of being the strong one, the practical one, dissolved in waves of rage and grief. I screamed into pillows, shattered a glass against the wall, collapsed on the bathroom floor. For hours, I cycled through disbelief, fury, and devastating sadness. Dawn found me sitting cross-legged on my apartment floor, surrounded by documents, recordings, and photographs, the evidence I'd been meticulously gathering. My eyes were swollen from crying, but my mind was clear, clearer than it had been in months, perhaps years. The family intervention had accomplished something Ashley hadn't intended. It had severed my last emotional ties to the dynamic that had controlled our family for decades. I was no longer the dutiful daughter trying to win equal affection. I was no longer the responsible sister covering for Ashley's manipulations. I was simply Sarah Mitchell, and I was done playing by rules designed to keep me subordinate. I showered, dressed in a crisp black pantsuit I usually reserved for hospital board meetings, and made 3 phone calls. The first to the forensic accountant who'd been reviewing Mom's financial records. the second to an elder law attorney in Philadelphia, far from Mark's sphere of influence. The third to Detective James Wilson at the county's Elder Abuse Division, an old high school classmate who'd made eye contact with me at the grocery store last week and quietly said, "If you ever need anything, Sarah." By noon, I had appointments scheduled with all three for the following day. I drove to Mom's house with a new resolve, prepared for whatever tactics Ashley might deploy. She was there when I arrived, sitting at the kitchen table with Mom's checkbook open before her. "I didn't think you'd be back so soon," she said, making no effort to hide her irritation. "I live 10 minutes away," I replied, hanging my coat with deliberate calm. "How's Mom today?" "Resting. The meeting yesterday was difficult for her." Ashley's implication was clear. The difficulty was my fault. I nodded, refusing to engage with the accusation. "I'll sit with her a while. Actually, I've adjusted her schedule based on Dr. Reynolds' recommendations. Visitors only between 2 and 4 to ensure she gets proper rest." The smugness in Ashley's voice was barely concealed. "I'm not a visitor, Ashley. I'm her daughter." "Yes, but considering the circumstances..." "I'll be quiet," I interrupted. "She won't even know I'm there if she's sleeping." Ashley stood, blocking my path to the stairs. "I really think it's best if you give her some space, Sarah. At least for a few days." In that moment, seeing my sister physically preventing me from reaching our dying mother, something fundamental shifted inside me. The years of accommodating Ashley's dramatics, of stepping back to keep the peace, of carrying silent resentments, all of it suddenly felt like a terrible waste of my limited time with Mom. "Move," I said simply. "Excuse me? Move out of my way or I will move you." Ashley's eyes widened. I'd never spoken to her with such direct authority. Her entire manipulation system relied on me following the established script. She provokes, I defend. She accuses, I explain. She cries, I comfort. By refusing to play my part, I disrupted the dynamic she'd controlled our entire lives. She recovered quickly, reaching for her phone. "I'm calling Mark. This aggressive behavior is exactly what we were discussing yesterday. Call whoever you want. I'm going upstairs to see Mom." I walked past her, intentionally brushing her shoulder on my way to the stairs. The physical contact was minimal but symbolic. I was no longer yielding space, literally or figuratively. Mom was awake when I entered her room, propped against pillows and looking out the window. The morning light cast shadows across her gaunt face, highlighting how much weight she'd lost in recent months. "Sarah," she said, genuine pleasure warming her voice. "I was hoping you'd come today." I sat beside her bed, taking her hand in mine. "How are you feeling?" Clearer than yesterday. Her eyes held a lucidity that had been absent during the family meeting. "They gave me too much medication. It's happened before." The quiet acknowledgement stunned me. "You know when you're being over-medicated?" She nodded slightly. "Not always in the moment, but afterward, when my head clears, I can tell the difference." She squeezed my hand. "Something's wrong, isn't it? Something beyond my illness." For months, I'd been careful not to burden Mom with my suspicions, believing the stress would only worsen her condition. But looking at her now, alert, perceptive, and directly asking, I made a decision to treat her with the respect she deserved. "Yes," I said simply. "Something's wrong, and I need to know if you want me to fix it, or if you prefer to let things continue as they are until..." I couldn't finish the sentence. "Until I die," she completed matter-of-factly. The bluntness reminded me forcefully of my father. "Tell me what you found." So I did. Not everything. I spared her the details of the financial exploitation, the faked medical needs, the deliberate over-medication. But I outlined the pattern of control Ashley and Mark had established, the systematic isolation they'd orchestrated, and their recent attempt to remove me from her care entirely. Mom listened silently, her expression giving nothing away. When I finished, she looked out the window again, watching a cardinal land on the oak branch outside. "Your father always said Ashley would need watching," she finally murmured. "He worried about her sense of entitlement, even when she was small, but I thought he was being too harsh." She turned back to me. "I've been a fool, haven't I?" "No," I said firmly. "You've been a mother who wanted to believe the best about her daughter. There's nothing foolish about that." She shook her head slightly. "There is, when it makes you blind to what's right in front of you." She was quiet for another moment, then asked, "What do you need from me?" The question took me by surprise. I'd expected denial, or perhaps a plea to maintain family harmony until the end. I hadn't expected this clear-eyed partnership. access to your accounts, signatures on some documents, testimony if you're willing and able, and time, uninterrupted time with you, without Ashley controlling when and how I can see you. Yes to all of it, she said without hesitation. I may not have much time left, Sarah, but I can still set things right. We heard Ashley's footsteps on the stairs, followed by Mark's deeper voice. Mom's grip on my hand tightened. Let me handle this, she said with unexpected strength. It's time I remembered who I was before I got sick. When the door opened, Ashley entered first, Mark looming behind her. Mom, we need to discuss. She stopped short when she saw me sitting by the bed. Sarah, I thought I made it clear. Ashley. Mom's voice cut through the room, with an authority I hadn't heard in months. I'd like you to leave now. Ashley blinked, momentarily speechless. What? You too, Mark. I need to rest, and Sarah will stay with me. Mom, you're confused, Ashley began, shooting me an accusatory glance. Yesterday you agreed. I'm not confused today, Mom interrupted. That's rather the point. Please leave, both of you. We'll talk tomorrow when I've had more time to think. The stunned silence that followed was broken, only when Mark placed his hand on Ashley's shoulder. Let's go, Ash. We can come back later. After they left, closing the door with exaggerated gentleness, Mom sank back against her pillows, visibly exhausted by the confrontation. That felt good, she whispered, a ghost of a smile playing at her lips. I haven't stood up to her in years. I stayed with Mom through the afternoon, helping her eat lunch, reading to her from her favorite poetry collection, simply sitting in comfortable silence. For the first time since my return, we were mother and daughter without Ashley's interference shaping our interaction. As evening approached, I made a bed for myself on the small couch in Mom's room. I'm staying tonight, I told her, and I'm adjusting your medication back to what Dr. Simmons originally prescribed before he was replaced. The next morning, I drove Mom to the bank in wheelchair-accessible taxi I'd arranged. Ashley's calls went unanswered. Mark's increasingly threatening voicemails accumulated on my phone. Legal warnings about unauthorized patient transport and violation of established care protocols. I forwarded each one to Detective Wilson, building our case message by message. At the bank, the manager's eyes widened when we requested access to Mom's safe deposit box, a box Ashley had told me didn't exist. Mrs. Mitchell, he greeted warmly. It's been some time since we've seen you. Mrs. Collins usually handles your banking matters. Mrs. Collins is my daughter Ashley, Mom clarified firmly. And today, I'll be handling my own affairs, with Sarah's assistance. The manager's discomfort was palpable as he verified Mom's identification and led us to the vault. When he left us alone with the box, Mom's hands trembled slightly. Dad always kept important documents in safe deposit boxes, she explained. After he died, I continued the practice. Ashley doesn't know about this one. At least she shouldn't. Inside the metal box lay a carefully organized collection. The original deed to the house, unaltered by the reverse mortgage Ashley had arranged, Dad's life insurance policy with its sizable payout, birth certificates, marriage license, and a sealed envelope labeled, Final Arrangements and Will, 2018. This is my true will, Mom said, holding up the envelope. Not whatever document Mark has been working with. Robert Jameson was my attorney for 30 years before he retired. This is the last official will he prepared for me. I stared at the envelope, pulse quickening. Ashley showed me a will from Mark's firm dated 2020. I never signed such a document, Mom said firmly, at least not knowingly. We spent an hour at the bank, making copies, notarizing statements, and arranging for the contents to be documented by a bank officer. Mom moved methodically despite her weakened state, displaying the organizational skills that had once made her the most efficient school secretary in the district. From the bank, we went directly to the elder law attorney's office in Philadelphia. Attorney Sophia Vega listened intently as Mom outlined the discrepancies between her true wishes and the arrangements Ashley and Mark had implemented. This is unfortunately common, Ms. Vega said, reviewing the documents we'd brought. The combination of financial exploitation and medical manipulation is particularly troubling. The good news is that you're clearly competent to make decisions, Mrs. Mitchell, despite your illness. That simplifies our legal approach considerably. By late afternoon, we had filed emergency petitions to freeze all financial accounts, invalidate the suspect will, halt the reverse mortgage process, and formally document Mom's current medical directives. The attorney also helped us prepare a sworn statement about the medication issues, which would support the criminal investigation Detective Wilson had quietly opened. When we arrived home, exhausted but triumphant, the house was ominously quiet. Ashley's car was gone from the driveway. Inside, we found evidence of hasty departure. Drawers left open in the guest room where Ashley often stayed, bathroom cabinet emptied of her toiletries. "She knows," Mom said simply. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Wilson. "Mark withdrew $50,000 cash from their joint account this morning. Airport surveillance shows Ashley boarding a flight to Cancun at noon. Mark remains in town. Proceeding with warrant for financial records. Stay safe." I showed Mom the message. She nodded slowly, unsurprised. She's always run when confronted directly, even as a child. We settled Mom in her favorite armchair by the living room window, the late afternoon sun warming her thin shoulders. I made tea, brought her medication, the correct dosage, and sat across from her, feeling the weight of what we'd set in motion. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "Legally, the process will take time, but your accounts are protected. Your true will is registered with the court, and the house can't be sold without court approval. Criminally," I hesitated. "That depends on how far you want to take this, Mom." She sipped her tea thoughtfully. "Will she go to prison?" The question hung in the air between us, the terrible reality that pursuing justice meant potentially sending my sister to jail. "There are significant criminal charges possible," I acknowledged. "Elder financial abuse, medication tampering, forgery of legal documents, theft. And Mark? As her attorney, his involvement makes the charges more serious. He knew better." Mom set down her teacup with a decisive click against the saucer. "Then they both face the consequences. I won't press charges about the money for myself. What would I use it for now?" A sad smile crossed her face. "But the medication, Sarah, making me confused, sedated, unable to think clearly, stealing my final months of clarity, that I cannot forgive." Her words sent a chill through me. The financial crimes were substantial, but the deliberate tampering with Mom's lucidity, essentially stealing her remaining time, was profoundly cruel. That evening, we changed the locks. The security company arrived promptly, installing a new alarm system with cameras that fed to both my phone and Detective Wilson's secure server. The hospice agency sent a different nurse, one who reviewed the medication changes with appropriate concern and documented everything meticulously for the investigation. As we prepared Mom for bed, her phone chimed with a text from Ashley. "Hope you're happy with Sarah manipulating you, destroying our family when you have so little time left. I've only ever tried to protect you. Mark says I should sue for slander." Mom read the message aloud, her voice steady. Then she handed me the phone. "Block her number. If she wants to communicate, she can do it through Ms. Vega." The decisiveness in her voice reminded me so forcefully of the mother I'd known before her illness, the woman who ran her household with loving efficiency, who'd taught generations of children to read, who'd navigated widowhood with dignity. Ashley's machinations hadn't erased that woman. They'd only temporarily buried her beneath layers of medication and manipulation. That night, as I sat beside Mom's bed until she fell asleep, I reflected on the strange power shift that had occurred. For months, I'd felt helpless against Ashley's control of the situation, her social connections, her husband's legal influence, her established role as Mom's primary caregiver. I'd collected evidence cautiously, afraid of making accusations I couldn't prove. But the real turning point hadn't been the documentation or legal maneuvers. It had been Mom herself, awake, alert, and ready to reclaim her autonomy. In our family narrative, I'd always been cast as strong like Dad, while Mom was seen as emotionally vulnerable, easily influenced by Ashley's manipulations. How wrong that assessment had been. When given clear information and freed from unnecessary medication, Mom had shown a steel core that matched or exceeded my own. The next morning, Detective Wilson called. "We've frozen their major assets," he reported. "Mark's been served with documents preventing him from accessing your mother's accounts or medical records. The DA is reviewing the evidence for criminal charges. And Ashley? Still in Mexico. We've flagged her passport so she'll be detained when she returns to the US. Has she contacted you?" "Only by text to Mom. We've blocked her number." "Good. Keep documenting everything. The case is solid, but the more evidence we have, the harder it will be for Mark to wriggle out of this. He's already claiming he was following his wife's instructions regarding your mother's care." After hanging up, I found Mom in the kitchen, examining the contents of the refrigerator with a critical eye. "Everything's expired," she observed. "Ashley kept saying she'd gone grocery shopping, but she didn't," I finished. "Just one more lie." Mom nodded, closing the refrigerator door. "I'd like to go grocery shopping," she announced. "Just a small trip. I want to choose my own food again." The simple request embodied everything we were fighting for. Mom's right to make her own choices, to experience normal activities, to live her remaining time on her terms. "Absolutely," I said, reaching for my car keys. "Let's go right now." The next 2 weeks unfolded with unexpected peacefulness. Mom grew stronger as her medication returned to appropriate levels. The hospice team, now aware of the previous issues, adjusted her pain management to maintain clarity while keeping her comfortable. We established a gentle routine, mornings in the garden when weather permitted, afternoons reading or watching old movies, evenings with visitors Mom specifically requested. Real friends, not Ashley's social circle. Detective Wilson provided regular updates on the investigation. Ashley remained in Mexico, apparently extending her vacation indefinitely. Mark had hired a prominent criminal defense attorney from Philadelphia and was attempting to characterize the entire situation as a family misunderstanding, fueled by end-of-life emotional distress. "He's trying to build a narrative that you're unstable and manipulating your mother," Detective Wilson explained during one of his visits. "Claiming your divorce left you bitter and irrational." Mom, sitting beside me on the sofa, snorted derisively. "Sarah was the most rational person during her divorce. Even Thomas said so. They'll try anything to create reasonable doubt," the detective continued. "The good news is, the financial evidence doesn't lie. We've documented over $1.3 million in misappropriated funds so far, and the forensic accountants are still working." The amount shocked me into silence. I'd suspected theft in the hundreds of thousands, but not millions. Mom showed no reaction, having already accepted the scope of the betrayal. "What about the medical aspects?" she asked calmly. "The medication issues? That's more complex legally, but we're building a strong case. Dr. Reynolds is cooperating fully, claiming he was following Mark's instructions about your care plan, which he believed came from you through your healthcare proxy, which would have been Ashley," I added, the pieces fitting together. "Exactly. The paper trail supports your account that your medication was being systematically manipulated to keep you sedated and confused. The hospice records show dramatic improvement in your condition once Sarah adjusted the dosages back to appropriate levels." After he left, Mom sat quietly, processing everything. "I keep trying to understand why," she finally said. "We weren't poor. I would have helped them if they needed money." "It wasn't need," I replied gently. "It was greed and control." That evening, I received a call from Cousin David, who'd been present at the family intervention. "Sarah, I owe you an apology," he began awkwardly. "Ashley told us you were having some kind of breakdown, that you were paranoid and making wild accusations. I should have questioned it more. Most people believed her," I said, surprised by his call. "She's always been convincing. The police contacted me today," he continued. "Asked about the family meeting, what Ashley had told us beforehand. It made me realize we'd been manipulated. One by one, family members reached out, some apologetic, others defensive, all stunned by the emerging truth. Aunt Patricia arrived unannounced one afternoon, tears streaming down her face as she begged Mom's forgiveness for believing Ashley's lies. Uncle Robert offered his vacation home as a peaceful retreat if we wanted to get away from town gossip. Even Ashley's mother-in-law called, horrified that her son might be implicated in elder abuse. The community response evolved more slowly. Lancaster was still a place where appearances mattered, where the socially prominent Collins family had cultivated an image of perfection for decades. But as fragments of the story leaked out, a hazard of small-town legal proceedings, longtime residents began to remember other incidents. Ashley's teenage shoplifting that had been quietly dismissed, Mark's suspicious real estate deals that always seemed to favor his clients over elderly sellers, their extravagant lifestyle that had somehow continued uninterrupted through the recession. While public opinion shifted, we focused on practical preparations. Working with Ms. Vega, we established a proper care trust for Mom, with transparent accounting and oversight. We updated her medical directives, ensuring her wishes would be respected regardless of who might try to interfere. I arranged for FMLA leave from my job in Chicago, committing to stay in Lancaster as long as Mom needed me. The most difficult preparation involved Mom's grandchildren, Ashley and Mark's teenagers, Jason and Emma. They'd been sent to Mark's parents' home when the investigation began, carefully shielded from details, but they deserved some explanation for their mother's absence and the sudden silence from their grandmother. "I'd like to see them," Mom said one morning. "They're innocent in all this." The meeting was arranged through Mark's attorney, neutral ground at a family counselor's office, with professional support available for the teenagers. I drove Mom there with trepidation, uncertain how Ashley and Mark had framed the situation to their children. Jason, 17 and stoically silent, barely made eye contact as we entered the counselor's office. Emma, 15, immediately burst into tears upon seeing her grandmother, rushing to embrace her. "Why is everyone fighting?" she sobbed against Mom's shoulder. "Dad won't tell us anything except that you're sick and Aunt Sarah is causing problems." Mom held her granddaughter gently. "That's not the whole truth, sweetheart. There are adult issues happening that aren't your fault or responsibility. But I want you both to know I love you very much, and nothing will ever change that." The counselor guided the conversation skillfully, helping Mom explain in age-appropriate terms that there was a disagreement about her care and finances that needed to be resolved legally. She emphasized that the teenagers were welcome to visit her any time, regardless of what was happening between their parents and aunt. Jason finally spoke as the session neared its end. "Is Mom coming home soon?" The direct question hung in the air. The counselor looked to me, silently asking how much to reveal. "Your mom is taking some time away right now," I said carefully. "The legal issues are complicated, and it might be a while before everything is resolved. She's hiding because she did something wrong, isn't she?" Jason's perceptiveness was startling. "That's why she left so suddenly, and why Dad is always on the phone with lawyers." "Jason," the counselor began, but he cut her off. "I'm not stupid. I overheard Dad on the phone. I know they took money from Grandma. I know Mom's been lying." His voice cracked with emotion. "She's always lying. About everything." Emma stared at her brother in shock. "That can't be true." Jason turned to his grandmother, eyes pleading for honesty. "Is it true, Grandma? Did they steal from you?" Mom reached for his hand, her expression gentle but unwavering. "Yes, Jason. I'm afraid it is true. But that doesn't change how much I love you both. And it doesn't mean you need to choose sides." The ride home was quiet, Mom exhausted by the emotional encounter. "They're good kids," she murmured as we pulled into the driveway. "Despite everything." "They are," I agreed. "And they're old enough to start seeing the truth for themselves." That night, as I helped Mom prepare for bed, she suddenly gripped my wrist with surprising strength. "Sarah, I need you to promise me something." "Anything," I replied, alarmed by her intensity. "If this isn't resolved before I die, if Ashley somehow escapes consequences, promise you'll see this through to the end. Not for revenge, but for justice. For all the other vulnerable people they might target next." I knelt beside her bed, holding her gaze. "I promise, Mom, no matter how long it takes." She nodded, satisfied. "Good. Now let's talk about something more pleasant. Tell me about that new director at your hospital. The one you mentioned was challenging to work with." The deliberate change of subject made me smile. Even facing terminal illness and family betrayal, Mom remained determined to engage with normal life, to hear about my everyday challenges and successes. We talked for an hour about mundane matters, workplace politics, a new restaurant in Chicago I wanted to try, the book club I'd had to leave behind. The ordinary conversation felt like its own kind of victory. The following morning brought the news we'd been anticipating. The district attorney had filed formal charges against both Ashley and Mark: elder financial abuse, medication tampering, wire fraud, conspiracy. The list was extensive and damning. "Mark's been arrested," Detective Wilson reported. "He's being processed now. His attorney is already arranging bail, but the conditions will include surrender of his passport and monitoring." "And Ashley?" "Still in Mexico. We're working with federal authorities on extradition, but it's complicated. She could stay there a while, depending on legal maneuvering." 3 days later, as Mom and I sat on the back porch enjoying the spring sunshine, a familiar SUV pulled into the driveway. My heart skipped as I recognized Ashley behind the wheel. "She's back," I said, reaching for Mom's hand. Mom's grip tightened around mine, I'm ready. We watched through the screen door as Ashley approached, dressed impeccably in cream linen pants and a silk blouse, oversized sunglasses hiding her eyes. She looked like she'd returned from a luxury vacation, not a flight from justice. You should call Detective Wilson, Mom suggested. I nodded, pulling out my phone, but before I could dial, the doorbell rang. Moment of truth. I opened the door but remained in the threshold, blocking Ashley's entry. You shouldn't be here, I said flatly. Your lawyer should have told you to avoid contact. Ashley removed her sunglasses, revealing eyes reddened from either tears or lack of sleep. I need to talk to Mom, she said, her voice lacking its usual confident edge. Privately. That's not happening. I stood my ground. Any communication should go through the attorneys. Sarah, Mom's voice came from behind me. Let her in. I want to hear what she has to say. Reluctantly, I stepped aside, allowing Ashley to enter but staying close as she moved toward the living room where Mom waited. I texted Detective Wilson quickly. Ashley here at house, arrived unannounced. His response was immediate. On my way. Don't let her take anything. Record if possible. I activated the recording app on my phone as I joined them, making no attempt to hide it. Ashley glanced at the phone, then away, apparently deciding not to challenge the documentation. You look better, Mom, she said, settling into an armchair across from where Mom sat on the sofa. The new hospice team must be working out well. The appropriate medication makes a significant difference, Mom replied evenly. Ashley flinched at the implied accusation. I always followed Dr. Reynolds' recommendations for your care. After you arranged for my original doctor to be replaced, Mom countered. Let's not pretend, Ashley. The question is why you're here now, knowing there's a warrant for your arrest. Ashley's composure cracked slightly. I came back voluntarily. I'm not running from anything. She leaned forward, adopting the earnest expression she'd perfected over years of manipulating family emotions. There's been a terrible misunderstanding, Mom. Sarah has convinced you of things that simply aren't true. The bank records aren't a misunderstanding, I interjected. Neither are the forged documents or the medication logs. Ashley shot me a venomous look before returning her attention to Mom. Everything I did was for your benefit. Managing your finances during your illness, ensuring you were comfortable or unconscious, Mom interrupted, her voice suddenly sharp. Do you have any idea what it's like to drift in and out of awareness? To lose entire days to unnecessary medication? To realize your own daughter was deliberately keeping you sedated? That's not... Stop lying, Ashley. Mom's command cut through the room with surprising force. For once in your life, stop the performance and tell the truth. Something shifted in Ashley's demeanor, the practiced vulnerability replaced by cold calculation. Fine. You want the truth? The truth is, you've been a burden for years. Dad left us with nothing but debts and responsibilities. I stayed and built a life here, took care of you, while Sarah escaped to Chicago. When you got sick, who do you think arranged everything? Who coordinated with doctors, dealt with insurance, handled the endless details while trying to maintain my own family and business? I offered to help, I reminded her. You refused every suggestion. Because you wanted to take control, Ashley snapped. You've always been jealous of my relationship with Mom, my success, my family. This whole investigation is just your revenge for feeling sidelined all these years. Mom shook her head sadly. This isn't about Sarah's feelings, Ashley. It's about $1.3 million missing from my accounts. It's about a beach house purchased with my retirement funds. It's about medication that kept me too confused to question any of it. You were dying anyway, Ashley said, the brutality of her words hanging in the air. What difference did it make if some of the money went to securing my children's future? Your grandchildren's future? You certainly weren't going to use it. The silence that followed was deafening. Even Ashley seemed shocked by her own callousness. And there it is, Mom finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. The truth at last. The sound of car doors slamming outside broke the tension. Moments later, Detective Wilson arrived with a female officer. Ashley stood as they entered, instinctively reaching for her purse. Ashley Collins, the detective began formally. There's a warrant for your arrest on multiple charges, including elder financial abuse, fraud, and medication tampering. You need to come with us. Ashley's face hardened as she looked between the officers, Mom, and me. This isn't over, she said quietly. Mark's already arranged a plea deal. He's giving them everything they need about your involvement, Sarah. My involvement? I repeated incredulously. The cameras you installed without proper consent. The medication changes you made without medical authority. The way you isolated Mom from family and friends. It all demonstrates a pattern of controlling behavior. Ashley smiled thinly. Your divorce records show a history of obsessive tendencies, according to Mark's research. I felt a chill at the calculated threat. They were planning to paint me as the unstable one, the true manipulator. Before I could respond, Mom spoke up. I've provided sworn testimony about my treatment, Ashley. Testimony taken while I'm clearly lucid and medically stable. Do you really think anyone will believe I was isolated when the evidence shows I was heavily sedated under your care and alert under Sarah's? Ashley's confident expression faltered. We have visitors' logs from the hospice agency, Mom continued, showing how many more friends and family have visited since Sarah took over my care. We have pharmacy records showing how my medication was constantly increased under your supervision, often without medical necessity. We have bank records, phone records, witness statements from the hospice staff. She stopped, suddenly looking exhausted. Take her, please, she said to the detective. I've said all I need to say. As the officers led Ashley away, reading her rights, she maintained her composure until reaching the front door. Then she turned back, her facade crumbling. Mom, please, don't do this. We can work something out, for the family's sake. Mom didn't respond, her gaze fixed on some distant point beyond Ashley. I recognized the technique, the same quiet disengagement she'd employed during Ashley's childhood tantrums. No drama, no emotion, just calm detachment that rendered the performance meaningless. After they left, Mom remained silent for several minutes, processing what had just occurred. Finally, she reached for my hand. I need to lie down, she said simply. I helped her to bed, adjusting pillows and pulling up the quilt she'd had since childhood. As I turned to leave, she caught my arm. I knew, she said softly. Not everything, not the extent of it, but I knew something wasn't right. I just couldn't bear to believe it was deliberate. It's not your fault, I assured her. Part of it is. I enabled her behavior for decades, making excuses, smoothing things over. If I'd been firmer when she was younger, she sighed. Too late for those regrets now. News of Ashley's arrest spread quickly through Lancaster. By evening, the local paper had published the story online. Prominent local couple charged with elder abuse and financial crimes. The article was carefully worded but damning, outlining the basic allegations while noting Mark's prior disciplinary issues with the State Bar Association. Phone calls and text messages flooded in from family members, friends, and even casual acquaintances. Some offering support, others seeking gossip, a few expressing disbelief that Ashley could have done what she was accused of. I screened them all, protecting Mom from the emotional drain of repeated explanations. The following morning, as Mom dozed in her favorite armchair, I received a call from Mark's mother. I'd like to bring the children to see Evelyn, she said stiffly. If that's permitted. Of course, I replied, surprised by the request. Mom would love to see them. They're always welcome here. Thank you. Her voice softened slightly. For what it's worth, Sarah, I had no idea what was happening. Neither did Richard. We thought the beach house was an investment property they'd purchased through Mark's firm. I believe you, Mrs. Collins. The children are struggling terribly. Jason especially. He's so angry with his parents, but also confused and heartbroken. Emma still doesn't fully understand. We'll do everything we can to make them feel safe and loved when they're here, I promised. This isn't their fault. After hanging up, I sat beside Mom's chair, gently taking her hand. She stirred, opening her eyes. Who was that? She asked drowsily. Helen Collins. She's bringing Jason and Emma to visit later. Mom smiled faintly. Good. The children shouldn't suffer for their parents' actions. Later that day, as the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the living room, I watched Mom with her grandchildren. Despite her fragile health, she focused entirely on them, listening to Emma's anxious chatter about school, acknowledging Jason's quieter pain with gentle questions and comfortable silences. Helen Collins observed from the corner, her own grief evident, but controlled, as Mom demonstrated what true maternal love looked like. Steady, honest, undemanding. Mom died peacefully 3 months later. The oncologist had been surprised she lasted that long, attributing her extended survival to improved pain management and reduced sedation. Quality of life matters tremendously, he explained during our final consultation. Your mother has been more engaged, more present in her own care. Sometimes that makes all the difference. The final weeks were difficult, but precious. With Ashley and Mark both released on bail but legally barred from contacting Mom, we established a new family rhythm. Jason and Emma visited every Sunday afternoon. Aunt Patricia moved into the guest room to help with night care when Mom's condition deteriorated. Old friends from the school where Mom had worked for 30 years organized a rotation of visits, filling the house with gentle laughter and shared memories. Mom used that time to set things right in ways beyond legal proceedings. She recorded video messages for her grandchildren, offering the wisdom she wouldn't be able to share as they grew older. She reconciled with relatives from whom she'd drifted apart. She meticulously organized her personal possessions, designating special items for people she loved: her mother's wedding ring for Emma, her father's pocket watch for Jason, photo albums and family heirlooms distributed thoughtfully. For me, she left letters, dozens of them, written during her stronger moments, to be opened at specific future occasions. When you return to Chicago, read the first. When you doubt your decision, said another. When you miss me most, a third envelope instructed. Each contained not just her reflections, but her absolute confidence in me, her unwavering support for the difficult path I'd walked in exposing the truth. The criminal proceedings against Ashley and Mark continued, grinding slowly through the justice system. Their attorneys attempted various delaying tactics, hoping Mom's death would weaken the prosecution's case. Instead, her detailed deposition, recorded while she was clearly lucid and sworn under oath, became even more powerful evidence, her final testimony against those who had betrayed her trust. I remained in Lancaster after the funeral, extending my leave from the hospital in Chicago. There was too much unfinished business: the criminal case, the civil lawsuits to recover misappropriated funds, the ongoing support needed for Jason and Emma, who were struggling to process their parents' actions, and the public shame that followed. 6 months after Mom's death, I sat in the county courthouse as Ashley and Mark finally accepted a plea agreement. The evidence against them had proved insurmountable: financial records, medication logs, testimony from healthcare providers, and most damning of all, their own text messages detailing their deliberate efforts to keep Mom confused and isolated. Mark received a 5-year sentence with eligibility for parole after 3 years. His license to practice law was revoked. Ashley got 3 years, her lesser sentence reflecting the prosecution's assessment that Mark had orchestrated the more sophisticated financial aspects of their crimes. As the bailiff led them away, Ashley looked back at me, her expression unreadable. I felt no triumph in that moment, no vindication, only a profound sadness that it had come to this. 2 intelligent, privileged people who had everything they needed had still chosen greed and deception, destroying their family and future in the process. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered, seeking statements about the high-profile case that had shocked Lancaster's tight-knit community. I declined to comment, slipping past them to where Jason waited in my car. At 18, he'd chosen to attend the sentencing alone, while 16-year-old Emma had opted to remain at school. "It's done," I said simply as I slid into the driver's seat. He nodded, his face composed, but eyes reflecting a complex mix of emotions. "Good." We drove in silence for several minutes before he spoke again. "I've decided to take Grandma's last name," he said quietly. "I've already talked to Emma about it. She's thinking about it too." The decision didn't surprise me. Both teenagers had struggled with the stigma attached to the Collins name since their parents' arrests. "Your grandmother would be honored," I assured him. "I know it doesn't fix anything," he continued, "but it feels right. A fresh start. A fresh start." The phrase echoed in my mind as we drove through Lancaster's familiar streets. That's what I needed too. Not an escape from responsibility or memory, but a thoughtful rebuilding of my life after months of crisis and caregiving. 2 weeks later, I stood in Mom's empty house, the last boxes packed and labeled for storage or donation. The property would be sold, the proceeds placed in trust for Jason and Emma's education and future needs, as stipulated in Mom's true will. I'd accepted a new position at a hospital in Philadelphia, close enough to maintain regular contact with my niece and nephew, but a step toward reclaiming my professional identity. As I locked the door for the final time, I remembered Mom's words from one of her letters. "The greatest act of love is sometimes letting go of what you cannot change and building something new from what remains. That evening, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment overlooking Rittenhouse Square, the city lights creating a tapestry of warmth against the darkening sky. I opened my phone to the recording that had started everything, the voicemail that had finally exposed Ashley's deception at Mom's birthday party. My finger hovered over the delete button. The evidence had served its purpose in court. The legal battles were resolved. Keeping it meant preserving a painful chapter I needed to move beyond. I pressed delete, watching the file disappear from my screen. The truth had been established. Justice served as well as it could be within an imperfect system. Now came the harder work of healing, not just for me, but for the younger generation caught in the crossfire of adult betrayals. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Can we have dinner tomorrow? I need help with my college essay." I smiled, typing back an immediate yes. This was the legacy worth preserving, the connection to Mom through supporting her grandchildren, the practical expressions of love she had modeled throughout my childhood. Not dramatic gestures or public performances of devotion, but steady presence, honest communication, showing up when needed. The city continued its evening symphony below my balcony, car horns, distant laughter, the rhythm of countless lives intersecting in momentary patterns before continuing their separate journeys. I thought about the voicemail, now deleted but forever part of our family's complicated history. It had served its purpose, not as a weapon of revenge, but as a tool of truth that had freed us all from a web of deception. Truth, I realized, was what Mom had ultimately given me, the courage to seek it, the strength to speak it, the wisdom to live by it even when easier paths presented themselves. In that sense, she remained present in every decision I would make moving forward, every boundary I would establish, every act of integrity I would choose over expediency or comfort. The night air carried the scent of approaching autumn, a gentle reminder of life's continuous cycles of ending and beginning. I closed my eyes, feeling both the weight of all that had happened and the lightning that comes with moving forward intentionally. "Thank you, Mom," I whispered to the evening breeze. Not for the inheritance or legal victory, but for the final precious gift of clarity, about our family, about Ashley's manipulations, about my own strength and worth. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, helping Emma with her essay, checking on Jason's adjustment to college, continuing to rebuild my professional life. But tonight, in this moment of transition between what had been and what would be, I allowed myself to acknowledge how far we'd come, from manipulation to truth, from betrayal to justice, from loss to a different kind of legacy, one built on honesty rather than illusion. I thought of Mom's face that day in the bank when we'd found her true will, the quiet determination that had always been her real strength, not the passive compliance Ashley had exploited. "We all have power within us," she'd told me afterward. "Sometimes it just takes a crisis to reveal it." In that spirit, I raised my glass to the night sky, not in celebration of victory, but in recognition of transformation. The painful truth that had initially shattered our family had ultimately created space for something more authentic to emerge from the wreckage. Not perfect, not unmarked by sorrow, but real. And in that reality lay the possibility of genuine healing, not just for me, but for all of us who had been caught in Ashley's web of deception.